Hello everyone, welcome back to the Dork side. It is I, your friendly neighborhood dork in a cul-de-sac, apparently. And this is the 5 things I love about my Honda Grom. One of them is it's easy to turn around in a cul-de-sac. That's right everyone, I've had this here 2018 Honda Grom for a month and a half, 2 months now. Done a few mods to it, put a couple hundred miles on it. It's hard to get more than that riding around town, but I'm doing my best. And I have to tell you, I love this little thing, and I love it a lot. And people constantly ask me why. And I have a whole video about why I bought it. You can check that out if you want. There are many things about this bike that I love. And I just want to talk about 5 things I love about the Honda Grom. So let's just dive right in. As they say in the stereotypical YouTube videos, let's get right into the video, which we didn't because I talked for a bunch already. First thing I love about this bike, I've indulged this benefit already, the modding capabilities. There is a very active Grom community, and there are a ton of aftermarket mods. You want to turn it into a stretch looking, Busa looking thing? Done. You want to make it look like a Repsol Honda race bike replica? You can do that. You want to turn it into a full-on dual sport? There's every single piece you need to do that. There's a ton of mods, big and small. You can put in a big bore kit. Everything from flush mount turn signals for $13 to a big bore kit for several $100s, right? To a $500 Yoshi exhaust. If there's something you want to do to this bike, you can do it. And you definitely should. I have done several mods. Grips, that's not a big surprise. I did the exhaust, I did the seat, thank God, because the stock seat sucks. Did the levers, did this phone mount. I put my CRF250L mirrors on it because why not? Actually, I don't want to go this way. I want to go this way. I changed my mind. Lots of mods, anything you could possibly want. And the thing is, it's easy to do the work. The bike is so small. It's very simple. It doesn't even have an oil filter. This suspension's about to factor in here. Just Google it right now. Google Honda Grom mods and your mind will be blown. Just look at the different builds people have done. And because they're so cheap to buy and to get the parts for compared to a much bigger motorcycle, people like Groms, it's a thing. They're fun to do. Lots and lots of stuff you can do and it doesn't cost you a ton. So the modding possibilities, that's number 1. And I kind of alluded to it already, but the second thing that I love about the Grom is the community. There's a very large, active, mostly friendly motorcycle community in general, but it wasn't until I bought this Grom and started getting into the subreddit and the Facebook groups that I saw just how huge the Grom community is. There's groups with thousands and thousands of members. Sometimes the people are jerks when you ask simple questions, but they are there, they are active. There's tons of people you can ask about mods, show off your mods, ask for pictures of mods, ask for their opinion on various mods that they've done, and they're very enthusiastic about these little bikes. Nobody there is like, why the hell did you buy a Grom? They're just like, hell yeah, you got a Grom. A lot of them have more than one because they're just that stoked about it. Very friendly, vocal, enthusiastic community, and when you buy one, you join it. There's lots of group rides and stuff that go on, big events. I would really like to go on one. If anybody knows of any Grom clubs or group rides around Oregon, in Oregon, man, I'd love to hear about that. Let me know. Show me, drop me that link. But the community is active and awesome, and I highly recommend if you get a Grom that you do your best to become a part of it. Seek it out because it's radiculous. That's right, I combined the word radical and ridiculous. You know why? Because I'm ridiculous. What? The third thing that I love about my Grom, and Groms in general, and again, I alluded to it, all these kind of run together in interesting ways, but they're cheap. They're cheap to buy. There aren't many motorcycles that are cheaper to buy brand new, at least not like from reputable brands. Obviously there's not. You can buy a Hawk or a CSC or something like that, but to get an actual Honda bulletproof motorcycle brand new for less than $4,000 out the door, it's pretty rare. So they are cheap to buy. Insurance is cheap because it's a 125. And how much trouble can you get into on a 125? Well, not much according to the insurance company. Spot back there. I want to urban explore one of these nights. And they're cheap to maintain. No oil filter. You just gotta, it takes 1 quart of oil to do an oil change. So one oil change costs you what, $6? And that's like once a year, depending on how much you ride it. The parts aren't expensive because it's a small engine and they make lots and lots of them. And gas is hella cheap because it gets 100 miles to the gallon. Even though the tank is 1.5 gallons, you fill it up like once a month, depending on how much you're riding. Because there's just, it just gets that good of a mileage. I've never owned a vehicle that got 100 miles to the gallon before. That's for sure. It is a cheap, inexpensive, new motorcycle and a great way to get into a new bike or get into motorcycling. It's a great first bike. Why is it a great first bike? Great question, I'll tell you. It's because of reason number 4. On reason number 4 that I love my Grom is it is the least intimidating motorcycle I've ever ridden, and quite possibly the least intimidating motorcycle ever made. And I mean that on a lot of levels. As a new rider, motorcycles are intimidating. They're scary. There's a lot of, especially if you haven't spent a lot of time with manual transmissions or you just haven't ridden much. A motorcycle, it feels like a lot to handle, and you know, you got to remember what lever does what. You got to be conscious of it all, right? And so this bike is incredibly forgiving. This is actually one of my cons because it inspires too much confidence and makes me ride my other bikes like a jerk. Oh, you're curious about the cons? Well, maybe you should check out the link for the 5 things I hate about the Honda Grom video. There's a link right up here. Bing! Bing! I think it's over here. You can check that out when you're done with this one, because this is a 2-part series. You got to get both sides of the coin, right? But it's not intimidating at all. And so that makes it one fun for new riders, because they can spend less time being afraid and more time learning the basic skills of riding, which they can later apply to a larger bike if they upgrade or something. And it also makes me want to, this is definitely like all private property, but I'm on a Grom, what are you gonna do? It makes me want to, I feel like that's that little park down there, but I guess giant no trespassing sign suggests otherwise. I don't know if that is or not. So there's a city park out here, or county park out here? No, it's a state park that there's limited access to, and I don't know. I know there's 2 entrances. I think this is the other one, but there's some debate over whether or not people are allowed to go down there. Anyway, good bike for a new rider to cut their teeth on, because the chances of getting yourself in trouble are very low. And it's also a good bike for a rider who has a little bit more experience, like me. I'm not gonna get in front of this guy, because he'll be annoyed with me, to try things that I would never try, or it would take me a long time to be comfortable trying on a bigger bike. For instance, about an hour after I got this bike, I went out and rode it off-road a little bit. I've been for a long time trying to learn, or meaning to learn, the dirt bike skill of leaning the bike over and then dropping the clutch and letting it skid around. So this is a turnaround, a quick turnaround skill. And I just have never gotten around to practicing it. I just, in my head, my tire's gonna get traction and the bike's gonna take off, which I don't even know why I'm that worried about, because I drop that thing all the time. And I'm heavy, I feel like I'll drop it, I don't know, like it'll get over too far. But on this bike, it's so light, I can hold it up with one arm. I tried that almost immediately. I will tell you, it didn't go well. I didn't drop it, but I caught it, and I could because it's super light. But I tried that thing that I'd never done before immediately. I've never really had much desire to learn to wheelie, but now that I have this bike, I'm strongly considering it, especially when I get the new sprocket on. It's not intimidating. It takes all of the anxiety out of learning to ride, and it takes a lot of the anxiety out of riding. Great bike, for instance, to teach a new rider, someone who's never ridden before. Like, my wife sat on this thing and said, oh, I kind of want to learn to ride on that. And she's never had any desire to ride my other bikes. It's not visually intimidating, it's cute and adorable, and people want to interact with it, like that lady that waved at me at the stoplight. And finally, the 5th and perhaps most obvious, if you've ever sat on a Grom, and the answer to the question, why did you buy a Grom, is, and I put this in all capital letters in my notes, it's fun as hell. All motorcycles are fun to ride, but this one is carefree fun. It feels like, to me, like a 2-wheeled go-kart that's street legal. It recaptures the joy as a child of just like hauling ass down a gravel road, or, you know, in the yard on a go-kart, or a moped. I had a buddy who had a moped, and we just did our best to see how fast we could get that thing to go. We did not think about anything else, you know what I mean? I wasn't carefully managing the throttle. I was just holding that thing wide open and trying to see what we could do. And that is what the Grom is. It's pure fun. If you could distill the fun of a motorcycle, purify it, and then remove the intimidating or scary parts, you would end up with a Honda Grom. I know, because I'm riding a Honda Grom right now, and it is awesome and unintimidating and so fun. And again, it's a new bike, and so obviously it's the first bike I think about getting on, but I do not see myself ever taking my Versys on a short in-town trip. You know what I mean? Why would I when I've got this thing? It's easier to park, takes the anxiety out of that. You can park it anywhere. I can put it on the curb, people just giggle. It's easy to ride, easy to maneuver through traffic, difficult to get into trouble on. It's just a really fun, awesome bike. It is the most fun. It's cheap and awesome, and I love it. And if you haven't ridden one, you don't understand. The go-kart thing I just said is about as close as I can get to describing it without actually riding it. People always go, why'd you buy a Grom? I say, have you ridden one? They say no. I say, well, you don't know then. Go ride one. It's just a whole different level of fun. And I really think, in my opinion, it's because it's all the fun and none of the worry, none of the intimidation, it's all the fun and none of the responsibility. It's like drinking with your best friends and knowing you're not going to get a hangover. Pure fun, no responsibility. And that is what makes it great. That's why I love my Grom. Do you have a Grom? What do you love about your Grom? If you don't have a Grom, what do you love about your bike? But if you do have a Grom, I'd love to hear what's your top 5 or what's your favorite thing about it? Why'd you buy one? Tell me all about it in the comments, please. I want to engage with my community. I just want to take this opportunity to say, look how cool I look on it. Fat guy on a little Grom. And also to say, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you who takes time out of your day to watch one of my silly videos. If you haven't, please check out the 5 things I hate about my Honda Grom video to see the other side of the coin. And don't forget to subscribe for more Grom videos and motorcycling shenanigans. Thank you for watching. Again, I know I've said it 9 times, but I am really thankful. And as always, please do not forget to be excellent to each other. Thank you.
Excellent!
Bikers, acoustic motorcycles. There's some bikers. He's waving at me even though he's on a Harley. Bro, sweet acoustic motorcycle. Another acoustic motorcycle. Over there, you see him? Acoustic motorcycle. I don't know why I made that wow noise, but I did.